How have you experienced bad human anatomy understanding? I had my tubes tied and my coworker asked some questions to verify I still had a vagina. Yes, I still have a vagina. And yes, it was similar to that scene with Meredith in The Office. I was my wife's first sexual partner. As she was discovering my anatomy, she had to ask me where the testicles were. She had thought that testicles were tubes, not balls. We talked this through and discovered where her misconception came from. Her brother had come home from sex ed class once with diagrams of the sexual anatomy for both genders, and he had mistakenly labeled fallopian tubes on the male diagram. I've told this story before, but when I was a medic in the Air Force, one of my jobs was working in the emergency department. One night a family came in with their little boy. I can't remember what was wrong with him, but we needed a urine sample, and it needed to be sterile, so we had to use a catheter to get the urine. So I go into the room and explain to the parents what I needed to do, and the mom asks me if this will break his hymen. She explains that being a virgin is important in their religion and that her boy needed his hymen intact. I assured the mother that this would not break any hymens and that her boy would still be a virgin. For example, I got into a full-blown fight with my ex one time because he was adamant that sperm came from the prostate and not the balls. Even after Googling it, he didn't believe me. Weirdest fight ever. Some utter dumb arse at my work is insistent our eyes shoot beams, and if you stare at a cloud long enough, it'll fade away because of the eye beams. I genuinely do not understand how someone can be that stupid and get into university. First sexual encounter I called off early because I had no idea what building up to an orgasm felt like, and I confused it for thinking I was about to pee. After seeing the early images of newborns with umbilical cords attached with their belly button, I connected the dots and thought that baby used to pop out from mother's belly button. My younger brother told me the real thing. Last night my fiancé sincerely asked me if pissing feels the same for men as it does for women. I was incredulous. First off, how the fuck would I know? Second, yay, I assume it does. I mean, it goes from the bladder through the urethra and out of your body. The urethra is just longer for guys. I had an ex say that you can't get pregnant on your period, and that you can only get pregnant on your period. Not 100 sure it was piss poor understanding of her own anatomy, or her trying to get pregnant by me. When I didn't do the job, she went and found someone who would then told me it was mine. I know someone who has 2 kids 11 months apart because she didn't think she could get pregnant while breastfeeding. When I was a kid, I thought the balls were on top of the dick, and that's how they were supposed to look. I just saw an ugly dick in the Walk Hard, Dewey Cox movie with bad eyesight, I suppose. I teach college anatomy, and am surprised how many women don't know they have 3 holes down there. When I was a kid and someone choked on a drink, they said, "Oh no, it went down the wrong pipe." I thought there was a separate pipe for food and drinks. One of my earliest teenage sex partners thought male orgasm was a voluntary action, like urinating. She said that women always have to wipe from inside to outside. Otherwise, you'd get poo in your vagina, and that's how people get AIDS. What? The question doesn't even make sense. NSFW, read at your own risk. I knew a guy in high school who was trying to get with this girl we knew. He also boasted that he didn't want to use a condom, and said he would pull it out when the time came. His understanding of pull it out was that he would grab a glob of semen and remove it. A coworker loudly let slip to the office that he thought women had 3 holes, as in a third between their vagina and anus. He came to this conclusion by misinterpreting a porn video. Coworker was telling some story about a woman who had inserted something like one of those little drink umbrellas, maybe? Can't remember, into her vagina, and it had gone so far it ended up in her bladder. I, politely, asked if he meant her urethra instead, and he said no, vagina. And I said, well, the vagina doesn't connect to the bladder, you don't pee out of it, but the urethra does. He was adamant that he was correct, and that this woman had inserted something so far into her vagina that it wound up in her bladder without having to teat or perforate anything. It just got there somehow. I once had a fight with someone about the roles of Th1 and Th2 T cells and their impact on Th17 titers. Does that count? Women's body takes time to understand. Most men don't know how to make a woman come for the same reason.